Hey guys, what's up? Stock Retail here, coming back to you. Saw last night on Twitter that Adam posted, that he'd be filing today, rather that AMC would be filing the docs today. Saw those this morning pre-market. I was up pretty early here, West Coast. Saw those get filed. Tweeted a few things about that if you haven't caught that, but wanted to go through in detail here. I know a lot of people like to get some walkthroughs of the documents. Before I do that, I want to say a couple things. One is I have said many times on this channel. First of all, I've noticed I've gotten quite a few more followers the last week or so. Obviously, there's just a lot going on with AMC, so I think there's more eyes on it. And so if you're new here, what I've said quite a few times, if you were to go back through my old videos, is on this channel, we don't do trust me, bro. So by that, I mean, I'm going to walk through the documents. I'm going to show you screenshots. I'm going to source what I say so you can see the proof for yourself here. But I'm also going to encourage you to go look at the documents for yourself. You can find them on SEC Edgar. You can find them on AMC's investor relations site. You'll see that Adam even tweeted, that he highly recommends you read these documents. Sometimes there's phrases in there, there's words in there that are either legalese or I'll call it businessese, that I understand not everyone will know all of the language. So that's my attempt here is I'm going to try to turn it into plain English. But I will just say, even from me, as hopefully credible and trustworthy as I've been, I'm going to still get things wrong from time to time. Always go to the source, go straight to anything that Adam says or the filings from AMC. If it's not from those, you've got to fact check. Okay, so even fact check me. So we're going to go through these. I'm going to make it in plain English, like I said, and then I'm going to give you just a little bit of opinion at the end of how I'm feeling about things. All right, so away we go. The first screen, sorry that this one's small. I'm going to zoom in for you, and then the rest I think will be a little bit better. That's just some kind of a simple thing here. If you go to the SEC Edgar site, there's kind of one view of the documents. It's a little smaller. Excuse me. So if you go to the AMC website, you can get this in a PDF and kind of zoom in a little better. So this first one, I was kind of on the SEC site, but let's just go through. You will see. So the company filed today, and I'm kind of highlighting what I think is relevant for you to see and what I'm going to talk about today. So remember that this was all the way back from March, and you can see as described in the company's definitive proxy statement, blah, 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 on February 14th. So the reason I'm highlighting that, gosh, guys, I've got videos since then. I've probably said 4 or 5 times how this thing works. And all of the times I've explained it, I took it straight from their documents. I've got several videos sourcing all of that. And yet, even with that, I have seen time and again, at least on the platforms that I'm on, mostly Twitter and YouTube, and I get a lot of DMs, people saying, hey, so-and-so said this in a space call, or so-and-so posted that on a tweet, or a post, I guess now. So-and-so said this on a YouTube channel, and basically seeing a lot of things wrong with how this thing was going to work. And you've been given a lot of misinformation. And so my point is, this has been knowable since they filed clear back in February. And so far, I've not had to change anything that I've said along the way because I took it straight from their filings and have been able to get it right because of that. I say that to just share. I'm going to even dive in on this a little bit later. It's really important to start understanding and paying attention to which voices out there are credible and are giving you facts and which voices are kind of just making stuff up and getting things wrong. Now, we're all going to get something wrong from time to time. I have myself. If someone's getting something wrong now and then, no big deal, brush it off, let them fix it. But if someone is repeatedly giving you bad information, I just really encourage you to consider if that's really a credible voice and if that's someone you should be listening to. So, all right, this has been filed since all the way back in February. It's been known. I also see some are probably misinformed apes and some are trolls who like to say, they'll pick at certain things and say, oh, I can't believe this is how it works. We're getting totally gypped. Well, sorry, but it's been communicated now we're getting close to 7 months. You've had a chance to read this. You've had a chance to understand this. It's been all very transparent, posted, documented. I don't want to see any comments on my feed talking about how, what a surprise, they're pulling one over on us. No, this has been communicated clearly. So most of those comments I removed just to warn you. Okay, so enough about me being grumpy on getting things right, but I just think it's really important to look for credible voices versus people who maybe you shouldn't be listening to. Notice the share count. So moving from 524 million, I had a video on that clear back in November even. Some of that 524 is not yet issued, but they have them. And notice then we're moving to the 550 million. That's the additional shares, the share increase. So you can see it's even got that language here that we gave them, which allows basically the conversion to happen. And then also some issuance. We're going to talk through that. Okay, so the reverse stock split together with the share increase effective as of August 24th. So these things here, the share increase and the reverse stock split, happen August 24th. Keep that in mind. We're going to really hammer that one home. So basically, reverse split, share increase, you can see at the top of the slide, August 24th. Okay, so just 10 days from today. They always had said they'd need 10 days on the filing. The next thing we see in the document is that APE will convert the next day. So APE converts to AMC on the 25th. AMC reverse splits on the 24th. APE converts to AMC on the 25th. So you'll notice this is the share count of APE right here that I've underlined. And you can see APE's ceased trading on August 25th, 2023. You're going to see language in a minute about how APE will basically reverse split, kind of a 1 to 10. And we're going to talk about that too, because that's another one I've seen in several space calls already on Twitter. I've seen several tweets that get wrong the math on what APE is doing. Just keep in mind, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, the settlement. I get a lot of questions on this one. The settlement is 1 to 7.5. You guys know that. But the thing I see gotten wrong the most on this is whether it's post-reverse split or pre-reverse split. It is fundamentally 100%, I know this is a fact, after the reverse split. It's even going to say it on here, but also I've known it since February again because you can just math it out, and I'm going to show you how. So you can see what I've highlighted here, contingent upon the reverse stock split and conversion. In other words, they won't do the settlement until the reverse split and the conversion are done. And in fact, I'll show you in a little bit a screenshot. The settlement is the 28th of August. It's a few days later. They will make the settlement payment. Okay, so you skip forward here and you see 1 share of Class A common stock for every 7.5 shares of Class A common stock owned, but we're going to talk about who gets these, okay? I'll clarify that in a second here. Owned by such settlement payment recipients as of August 24th. Now that really matters. What that basically means is whatever AMC you own at the end of day August 24th, and I'm going to show you screenshots, don't worry, documenting that. Whatever AMC shares you own at the end of August 24th, that's the math on your settlement shares. Okay, so keep that in mind for a minute. But notice, after giving effect to the reverse stock split, or the equivalent of 10 shares of AMC stock for every 75 pre-reverse stock split. So that's why a lot of us, you've probably been seeing posts saying, for every 75 AMC you own now, you'll get 1 post-reverse split. If you kind of go back and reread what I've highlighted here, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, keep in mind, and we're gonna also hammer home another point. If you don't want fractional shares, you need to own buckets of 150 AMC. I promise to come back to that and explain that in a bit. But I really want it to be clear. This 1 to 7.5 is post-reverse split. So you've divided your AMC by 10, then you divide by 7.5. So what's 10 times 7.5? 75, right? So if you're thinking pre-reverse split, you're thinking in 75s. That's this language here. If you're thinking post-reverse split, you're thinking 7.5s, okay? So I don't want anyone thinking it's 1 to 7.5 of the AMC you own now. It's 1 to 7.5 post-reverse split, which means all your AMC has been divided by 10, and then you get your settlement math. Take a look if you really... Yeah, I know I kind of maybe rambled there. If you want it a lot more clear, I made a whole calculator in Excel, and I did a video on that. Just look at my last video that's kind of about a calculator. I think that's 2 videos ago, actually. And I did that as a how-to, so you could even build your own Excel calculator and just plug in the numbers and know exactly how many shares you're going to have, so you don't have to listen to someone like me ramble and make it confusing. Just make it math. It's just math, and I have given you the math in a calculator there you can have for yourself. That was the intent of that, to just make everything clear. But all right, so you can see this is the part that also proves further kind of the math on really everything I just said. And the fact this math also proves it's everybody who owns AMC. Okay, so if you own AMC as of August 24th, you're part of this. And here's how I know that. This 51,900,000 and etc. shares post reverse stock split, see that right there? So think of that as 519 million today. Well, do you know what the AMC float is right now? All of the shares on the market, 519 million. So what they're saying is they're taking the entire float, every single share out there, which means if you own a share, you're part of this settlement because they're using every single share out there as of August 24th. And then here's how many, because of that, divide that by the 7.5, right? If you just pull out your own calculator right now and take this 51.9 million, divide by 7.5, you're going to get this 6.9 million down here. So that's why they're saying we're paying out a settlement on every single share that exists of AMC. And that's also how I know there's no ape involved, because this is the exact float of AMC. If you divide by 7.5, this is the exact settlement number. So it's just really clear math. They don't even need to give us language. They gave us the math that says, take the AMC float. There's 1 to 7.5 is the settlement payment on everything in the AMC float. And I mean, that's just math. That's how I've just known from day one and how you can get it right. You just read these things and then you kind of can see that. And now you don't have to worry about someone else in a space call saying something because you've seen the real numbers and you know what's going to happen. And so then because of the AMC shares, the settlement, and then remember the ape that's going to now convert over, you can see the final 158 million plus shares. That's your new float, post reverse split, post settlement, post conversion. This is the number. So think about how many times we've seen glitches on all kinds of websites about the float and the market cap. This is the number you should know. Before any other shares are issued, this is the bottom line float we should expect when everything's done. Okay, right here, this 158.4 million. So let me pull up here. That was a lot of details. The bottom line from this, the settlement, this dividend basically of AMC shares to the shareholders is 1 to 7.5. That's post reverse split, and it's to everyone who owns AMC as of the end of August 24th. Okay, I'm going to talk about record dates and kind of the timing of when you probably want to think about owning AMC shares if you're thinking about this. So we'll keep going and I'm going to come back to this. Okay, so then in the filing, again, I encourage you to maybe go look for yourself. There is a page that, a couple pages that kind of show some of the dates. And so you'll notice I've numbered these. I'm going to talk through these and just so you can kind of keep track with me. So let's talk about number 1 here at the top left. So you can see Class A common stock commences trading on a 1 for 10, so that's the reverse split. And notice that this is August 24th, right? So up at this top left, this is their document. Top is just me typing. So August 24th, we're talking about the reverse split. So on the 24th, Class A common stock commences trading 1 for 10. That's the reverse split. Second point. This is the last day of trading for AMC preferred equity units, which is APE. Okay, last day of trading, August 24th for APE. The record date set at close of business for holders of Class A common stock entitled to the settlement payment. So here is where you, this is what I had said about the record date. Whatever you own in AMC as of the end of August 24th, that is where you can do the math on what you expect to get for the settlement. At the end of August 24th, we should have already had the reverse split. So at that point, because that was point number 1, reverse split, then it's the record date. So that just means the moment in time that they take a snapshot, basically, of should you be getting these this payment. And then you'll get the 1 to 7.5. So divide by the 7.5, and there you go. You can see a few things about timing. So like pre-market, effective time of the share increase. So that's AMC getting their more shares that we voted on. And the reverse stock split. The AMC getting the share increase doesn't mean those shares are in the marketplace. We're going to talk more in a minute about what Adam and team are going to issue, how many, kind of when, all of that. This just means their access. You've heard me many times on this channel, if you've followed me a while, use the term access to capital. That is their ability to sell shares, to go get money, to do all the things they need to do. That starts pre-market, and so does the reverse split. That's what that is. Then you see some things like if you're a beneficial holder, if if you have your shares with the transfer agent. That's not most of us, so I'm not really talking through. That's a very low percentage of us. All right, I'm going to skip down here to point number 4. You can see, and this is language that I've seen people get hung up on. Effectively, some people are accidentally thinking APE divides by 100, but it doesn't. You're not going to divide APE by 10 twice, right? So AMC divides by 10. That's the reverse split, the 1 to 10. You'll notice here in number 4, it's language, so following the reverse stock split and corresponding adjustments, blah, 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 each APE is convertible to 1/10 of Class A common stock. But keep in mind, this is an APE that is not yet reverse split, going into an AMC share that has already reverse split. That is why you're dividing APE by 10. Just think of it as AMC reverse splits, and APE is also going to reverse split. AMC gets divided by 10, and APE gets divided by 10. Well, that sounds pretty one-to-one, right? I'm doing the same thing to AMC that I'm doing to APE. Both are divided by 10. This is just the reverse split. So I even saw someone post on Twitter, they tried to say basically that this means APE is really only worth 1/10 of an AMC, so don't buy any APE. Like they full on said it that clearly, which was clearly wrong. APE is absolutely worth 1 AMC today, but AMC reverse splits before APE, so that's why you got to divide APE by 10 when it goes over into AMC for the conversion. But they are 1-to-1 today, they'll be 1-to-1 tomorrow. It's just timing, okay? So don't let anybody tell you that somehow all of a sudden APE is only worth 1/10 of an AMC. That's 1/10 of an AMC reverse split share. That's really 10. So what's 10 divided by 10? It's 1. All right, point number 5. Record holders of Class A common stock at the close of business after giving effect to the reverse stock split, blah, 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 blah. Notice the heading on that, settlement payment recipients. So this is saying anyone who holds Class A common stock at the close of business on the 24th, you're part of the settlement payments, okay? Everyone, anyone, all the ones, you're in. If you own AMC, August 24th. That's very important. I get a lot of questions on that one. So, in summary, the reverse split happens August 24th. If you own AMC August 24th, you get recorded as part of the settlement. And so it depends then on how many you own at the end of that day. And they're clarifying then when the conversion happens, remember that APE also will get reverse split. Pretty simple. Now, let's move to what's next. So, we've done the reverse split to AMC, excuse me, on the 24th. On the 25th now, notice APE no longer trades. So you will not be able to buy more APE on the 25th. Conversion of APE actually happens. We just saw on the last page the math, the whole reverse split, divide by 10. Notice then on the right here at the top, it's happening pre-market, 9:30 a.m. I'm sure that means Eastern time. Pre-market, which of course that means Eastern time then because the market starts at 9:30 Eastern. Effective time of the conversion of APEs into Class A common stock. So that is the moment when your APE will convert. August 28th, notice then the settlement payment. So the 24th, AMC reverse splits, 25th, APE converts and reverse splits, and then finally the 28th, there's the settlement payments. So I want to talk then, there's one more thing that they had in this document. I've circled a couple of things for you here. So you can see the heading is additional capital raising. Notice how that fits that language that I've been using for a very long time. Access to capital, right? So post-reverse split, you can even see the language here, 25 million shares, reverse split adjusted basis. So 25 million post-reverse split shares, that's kind of like 250 million today. What you're really seeing is, here, at the market program for the issuance and sale up to 25 million from time to time at market prices in order to strengthen its liquidity and balance sheet. Let me break that down for you. Many of you probably already know what I just read, but just for anyone who maybe wants a little more to it. You know that Adam has said he wanted the shares so that he can get more cash. let's focus in on these two things, liquidity and balance sheet. So if you think about, in other videos, I've talked about the last 5 quarters or 8 out of the last 10 quarters, the team has paid off debt at really big discounts. Some of those discounts were as much as like half off pretty much. Others were kind of in the 40% zone of a discount. Others were in the 33-ish% discount. I think last quarter was like a 34% discount. The team paid off $42 million in debt, and they did it for like $27.6 million. So you can hear the difference on that. If you pay off, let's just call it $14 million more debt than what it actually cost you, that's a return on your investment right away. They basically got a 34% return on their investment. It's an improvement you see on the balance sheet. It should make the stock worth that $14 million more. It's become that much more valuable. That's called value creation. And you've seen me start to use that language. I'm going to do more videos on it. Look up an old video I have on dilution. Pretty old video, maybe 7 months ago. It's really important that you understand, because one of the things Shorty likes to do, at least all over Twitter, I see it, a little bit on YouTube too, they like to talk about dilution. They really like to put that in your face. But what they never talk about is what you're doing with that dilution. Remember, dilution is the selling of shares, which should be creating cash. And then what do you do with that cash? Well, if you get a return on that cash, that's called value creation. So what Shorty and Hedgie are doing is they're showing you the left side of the equation and asking you to ignore the right side of the equation. On the left side, I sell shares, I dilute. But on the right side, if I've created value, then I can actually make your shares worth more. By the way, you can also Google a Warren Buffett video. I'm sure many of you have heard of Warren Buffett as one of the most famous investors and one of the most successful investors of all time. There's a whole video of him telling his shareholders, if you give me permission to dilute, I will make your shares worth more. Not less, more. That's called value creation. So I really want you guys to start understanding, start researching, do it on your own, or I'll make more videos. Dig into this idea of value creation. It will make you FUD-proof on this notion of dilution. I promise you. Research value creation. And, you could say I'm spreading hopium if the team hadn't shown a track record. But I just told you, 8 out of 10 quarters, 8 out of the last 10 quarters, AMC has paid off debt at a significant discount. That is value creation. They are basically making the company worth more than the amount of money that they're spending or the amount of dilution that they're creating, right? So that is adding value to you. And so I'm actually showing you some examples here. So before I do that, let me just pull back and just make it clear what the point of this was in the document. Adam and team have told us there'll be 25 million post-reverse split shares that they will use. And notice that time to time. That does not mean we're going to wake up as soon as all of this is done, basically like August 28th, August 29th. We're not going to wake up and boom, there's 25 million new shares out there. He's going to use them from time to time as he sees the price action working for our and AMC's benefit, and as he finds good partners for that. But notice also it's market prices. It's this at the market program. That's another, let's say, anti-FUD you should put in your brain. This is not handing these over to hedge funds or something. This is selling these into the market. So that's also important to note. Okay, so let's just look at some examples. And again, I've just told you that quite a few of those debt repayments have come at 40 and even 50% discounts. I'm going to go ahead and use 33% here to just be a little more conservative. This is something I've talked to you about for months, though, that I believe this is coming. Keep in mind, too, you've seen sort of lots of news about banks and liquidity, right? Banks going under, banks needing support from the government, inflation, problems in the bond market. Banks need cash right now. So guess who's about to have cash? AMC. And so banks, I did a whole video on this too, guys. Look for one about the pieces. It's like a little chess piece on the cover. We're at a moment when banks need cash. Adam has cash. He can come to them and say, I'll pay off this debt and give you this big lump of cash right now, but I want a discount. And that's exactly what I just told you he's done for 8 out of 10 quarters. AMC is in a very strong position at a time when other people need cash and we have it. That's awesome. So congratulations, apes. We did it. Now, let's just use a few prices post-reverse split. So I think today Hold on, where's my phone? I'll just give you the right number. I think we closed at about 340. Let's call it 340. I guess I see aftermarket on AMC is up a little bit, mid 340s. So, that'd be like 34 a share. So I'm going to use this 30 a share, which would be more like if AMC was at 3. Remember, APE converts to whatever price AMC is at the moment APE converts. So we really look at AMC's price now for a while. I've given you just a few different price points we're going to look at. And before anybody says, what are you talking about 100? That'd be 10 on AMC today. I mean, what was APE when it was created, right? It was 10. So we were there. That wasn't very long ago. Go back and look at the chart over the last even just, 9 months. You'll see plenty of times we were way above this. And if we have even a mediocre, forget a mediocre, if we have even I don't even want to call it a sneeze, much less a squeeze. If we have a blink by Shorty, we're running up to beyond these numbers, in my opinion. Now, that's opinion. You'll have to decide how you feel about that. But so these are not hopium numbers. If I was going to show hopium numbers, I would have gone way beyond this. So let's look at some reasonable numbers. If Adam sold these 25 million, let's do the whole 25 million because that'll happen over time. Here is how much cash he'll generate. That's this second column, okay? So at kind of today's prices, he'd probably generate about 800 million bucks is what I'm saying. If he kept getting these discounts, and it's just so obvious to me it's going to happen. Again, it's happened 8 out of 10 quarters. That's plenty of data points for us to see. And we know in terms of macroeconomics that banks need cash right now. So, all right, let's take this 33% discount. So he generates, this column worth of cash, but look at how much more he would actually pay off if, let's say, he just applies that to debt and he gets that discount. So what that means is the value creation. Let's say he sells, I'll use this second line, $875 million of shares. So you'd say, dilution of 875 million. You got to spread that into basically all the existing float. But he creates $431 million of extra value. So the actual amount that the company kind of looks better on paper is this like 1.3 billion, even though he only sold 875 million of shares. That's not dilution, that's value creation. So it kind of counteracts the dilution. Then we should also not forget you've got savings on interest. So every year, I just took 11%. You can see at the top, pick some number you want. If you go through, sometime I'll try to show you all their debt. I've got every line item of it. It's in their filings. So you can see what year it's due, what percentage they're paying, all of that. There's some that are a little bit lower than this number, kind of 9 and 10%. There's some that are higher, 12 and 13, and I think even 14%. I'd have to go back and look. So I just picked one a little bit in the middle, kind of a little bit at the low end even. So we're basically making it look even better for Shorty than for us. But you can see if he was to pay off that amount of debt, then you've created this amount of value immediately. It's like an immediate return to the balance sheet. But then you're also improving your cash flows for every year by pick whichever line you want to look at. So, anywhere from $100 to $400 million of improved cash flow every year. That's earnings, guys. That goes straight to the bottom line. That's money they're going to keep, which could, by the way, also be used for dividends, right? Remember that. And so if you do any kind of valuation of stock, let's say in this industry, I think I've looked before, it tends to be between, 15 and 20 years of earnings that tend to be priced in. So that's something called price to earnings. You can research that for every industry. So basically take this last column and multiply it by at least 15, and then you're going to get how much more market cap, basically, you should add to the value of the stock. So if they create this value here in the next to last column, plus create these cash flows, and then stocks tend to be valued for future cash flows, what I'm really saying, and I'll do another video that I can show you this in a much simpler way and just make it make sense. They're going to create value. I can show you basically with, business fundamentals and math, that it's going to be worth more than the amount of dilution. So the people yelling at you about dilution are trying to make you scared, but they're also counting on you not understanding how business works and not understanding how stocks work. Let me say it even super, super simple to finish this slide, and you'll get this. If I said, will you please give me $10 if I'll give you $15 back? And then someone yelled at you, you're an idiot, you're losing $10. You can hear how dumb that is, because you'd go, no, I'm getting 15 back. I'm getting more than what I spent. That's value to you, okay? So he's going to spend money, which is the dilution. He's going to spend that by selling shares, but he's going to get back more than he spends. I believe that. You might be able to troll me if he hadn't done it for 8 out of 10 quarters in a row. Not to mention, by the way, I'm just talking about debt payment. He just shared with us, like the Reading, Pennsylvania theater that they bought. I don't remember the number now, but they got it at, basically it's worth multiples of what they paid for it. I kind of said that wrong, but they're the profitability on that, they got a steep discount on it. And so look at the Grove, the Arcana, the Boston ArcLight. These are theaters that are returning profits immediately as he buys them. Well, that's also creating value. So every move they've made so far with dilution and with cash has added value to the company, has improved the balance sheet or generated revenue. Do you like the popcorn business and the fact that he said within a couple of years that might be $100 million a year revenue business? Well, that cost money to create. And I would bet a lot of money, and I am betting money, right? I own this stock. I'm betting money that he did that in a value creative way, or another word is accretive, not dilutive. The opposite of dilutive is accretive, that he's creating value for us. All right, enough about this. Just wanted you to see he'll have 25 million shares in his back pocket that he'll sell from time to time. So, I mentioned a few times on this video, I am seeing so much misinformation out there. So I would like you to raise your right hand. I'm sorry, this is maybe kind of goofy, but seriously, please think about this for a second and hold each other accountable. So here's an APE DD Oath. I will not, under any circumstance, believe anything I hear from a Space Call host, a YouTube channel, a Reddit post, a Facebook post, an X post, a friend, a family member, or a beast of the field, unless or until I see it in an AMC document, which has been officially filed, or I hear it straight from Adam, Sean, or John. John Merriweather, that's the head of investor relations. Sean is our CFO. Adam's the CEO. Guys, take your DD, take your information from filings or from the AMC leadership. Please think about which voices have been giving you bad information. And if they've done it too many times, it's time to say that's not a credible voice. I don't think I'm listening to them anymore. Please. All right, I'll move on from that one. So the other thing you'll see in the document is FAQs. All right, so I'm just going to highlight a few for you. Again, you could go directly to see these. It's already on the investor relations site, and it's up on the SEC site. Just sort of what we're doing here is basically Adam and team have reiterated. They're repeating some things to really make sure we get it, okay? So who receives the payment? Well, I've already covered that in this video, but you can see. All, look at that word all record holders of AMC common stock. They even say not just the plaintiffs. And then you can see record date, blah, blah, blah. Close of business, August 24th. So that's just repeating everything I've already told you prior to the conversion. Okay. So in other words, I have also seen people say, wait, maybe my APE actually counts for the settlement too. Nope. The conversion is APE. And remember, I also already showed you that if you math it out, you can see it's only AMC shares. I know that for a fact. And then you can see here also prior to the conversion. They're not counting APE converted AMC shares for the settlement. All right, what date? We just covered that a bunch of times. The record date for determining blah, 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 August 24th. And here again, prior to the conversion. They're not going to use your APE shares for the math for a conversion. Go back to my calculator video. This document, once again, is saying that calculator is correct. I'm very confident in that because I had already based it on their previous filings. And now this filing is matching it again. So if you really want to know, go there. When will you implement the share increase, blah, blah, blah. So that 25 million, well, actually, no, sorry. All the shares that they have access to, which is more than the 25 million, all happens effectively kind of August 24th. Before the conversion. The reason too, by the way, is to bring in the APE shares. They need more shares to basically have a home for them. All right, When will the litigation settlement payment be made? So that's the 1 to 7.5. August 28th is what you want to look at there. The litigation settlement will be paid on or shortly after August 28th. There's some language that kind of says basically check with your broker, right? Like some of you, it took a little while to get your APE. I imagine that could happen again here. So it's supposed to happen starting August 28th, but this is AMC basically saying, hey, we know some of your brokers take a minute, so be talking to your brokers. After the conversion settlement litigation, will I see adjustments to my brokerage account immediately? So that's, again, this language here of, like, look here, expected to occur over several business days. You will need to be checking with your brokers. By the way, I guess I didn't cover in this video, no fractional shares. I did cover that in the calculator video and in multiple other document videos. You will not get fractions. You will get paid for those. You're not getting gypped. You will get paid cash for any fractions, both at the reverse split. First they check for fractions there, and then at the settlement, then they check for fractions there, and then at the conversion as well for APE. But you will not get any fractional shares. Those are going to get swept up and paid to you as cash. Okay, I'm not going to go through this page. I've already talked too much, in my opinion. You're getting basically examples of how that works. So this is straight from AMC. If you want to see some examples, kind of wish they'd shown you a couple others like with 150 AMC, but that's fine. It'll make sense to you. Go through these if you want to get examples straight from them. How will the reverse stock split and conversion affect trading prices in AMC and common apes? So first off, they basically say on this page, hey, we can't promise you any prices. The market's going to do what the market does. And a lot of us apes believe there's manipulation, corruption, high frequency trading, algorithmic manipulation, all those things. So they're not going to tell you what the price is. But here's something important from the AMC team. During the trading day of August 24th, while AMC common stock trading price post-split is comparable to 10x the AMC common stock trading price pre-split, the APE trading price post-split will, oh boy, okay, it's a mouthful. Let me just actually try to translate this for you guys. The second paragraph basically says, hey, there'll be kind of a moment where AMC has reverse split, so it's 10x the price, right? We divide the shares by 10, but we multiply the price by 10. And there'll be a moment where APE hasn't done that yet. So remember, APE is kind of 1/10 of AMC in theory for a day. Then when we get the conversion, APE folds into AMC and they're back to 1. That's what this page is telling you. Just kind of watch out. They're saying, so AMC, when it reverse splits, price multiplied by 10. That's the top here. Middle is kind of APE and AMC are still separated then for a moment because there's a day where AMC has reverse split and APE has not. And then, hey, they're going to come back together. Okay, how will this affect options? They basically say, sorry, you're going to have to wait for the appropriate governing bodies to weigh in. That happened when APE was created too, by the way. When we had the basically split out to APE, we had to wait for like the OCC, the options governing board to give us direction. I have guesses on how options will be treated. I've said on this channel and on Twitter, I own calls. I'm long on options as well as, of course, shares. So I would really like to know, but I cannot answer that yet until we get guidance from these boards. So that's all they're kind of saying on both of these questions. Sorry, we can't give you a lot of guidance. You're going to have to wait for those guys. Excuse me. And then you know that they know us because we're wondering about shorts. I'm sure shorts are wondering about shorts. How will short shares, will they be required to cover their positions? So AMC's kind of punting on that a little bit. They're saying basically whatever borrowing arrangements you have, they'll be adjusted in the regular way to account for the reverse split. Or in the case of contracts on APEs, the regular way that happens in a conversion. AMC does not determine and is unable to provide interpretive advice on the impact of these events, blah, blah, blah. So they're just saying, sorry, we don't drive the governance of how your shorts and how your borrowing is managed. You're going to have to figure that out with the people who loaned to you and whatever governance and contracts you have there. All right, rounding into home pretty soon here, guys. Hang with me. What are the key dates? So we saw August 11th. That was Judge Zern ruling. That's the status quo order being lifted. That just means they can move forward, and they did. August 24th. I guess they don't have the 14th on here, right? They filed today. August 24th, then we've covered this. Reverse stock split occurs, and the record date for the settlement. August 25th, conversion of APE to AMC, and then August 28th is the payout of the settlement. Interesting. I love that they addressed this. Will there be large failure to delivers like when APE was distributed? Remember, we had what, in the 40 plus millions for 2 days of APE FTDs. That was pretty interesting. And we had those major price spikes too for a minute. And then since then, I think we've just been manipulated down. It's been wild. But while we cannot cannot predict the trading impact of these corporate events, given the significant transactions that will occur over successive trading days, it is possible there are large FTDs like when APE was distributed. So I think they're just telling us it may take a minute for brokers to handle all of this, move everything around, distribute the settlement, handle the conversion, handle the reverse split, all of that. So watch for that. I know we'll all keep track of that. All right, in summary, and then I've got some final thoughts in a minute. All AMC holders as of 8/24 participate in the settlement. Everybody. If you own AMC, you're in this settlement. If you want to just really make sure you get the shares you're expecting, often this feels a bit like a dividend to me. And often if you were trying to get a dividend out of a dividend paying stock, you generally would be advised to buy the stock 2 days before the record date. So I would think, sorry, I'm just pausing because there's actually other language about an ex-dividend date. So I'm mixing up a couple things. Generally be 2 days before the ex-dividend date, you probably are safe. In this case, though, I would just recommend probably if you really, really want to play it safe, consider backing up 2 days. I find that kind of interesting because that is, I think, the anniversary for us. So interesting that that's the date. But there you go. If you just make sure you own your AMC at the end of 8/24. If you want to play it safe, go 2 days before that. Up to you. Only AMC shares are used for math in the settlement. I mentioned do not count APE when you're counting on the settlement, or go to the calculator video I've done. It's really clear. You can make your own calculator, so you just know from now on what shares you're getting. APE will convert after AMC reverse split. So that's that 1-to-10 conversion, which is just saying we're going to reverse split APE, basically. So think of it as really both are doing the same thing, so you could still think of it as 1-to-1. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. August 24th, August 25th, August 28th, so we have the reverse split, the conversion, and the settlement payout. Don't want fractions? Be in 150s in AMC. Talked about that in a couple of videos. Be in 10s in APE. But please don't worry. Fractions are going to be paid as cash. You'll be made whole. You could always keep that cash and save up and buy more later or something like that. Up to you. I've seen some people say don't worry about fractions because maybe it makes the brokers have to pay you some cash and really shorty in effect. Do that how you want. If you just are like, I never want to lose any shares, so I don't want fractions, you need to think in 150s in AMC and 10s in APE. That's just making sure you know that. Keep in mind, it's not just that shares are divided by 10, but that the price, in theory, goes up by 10. So if you think about 1 divided by 10, that's 1/10, right? But then multiply by 10, that's 1. This is the whole thing where Adam's saying, look, if you give me a $10 bill and I give you 10 ones, or if I take 10 ones from you and I give you a $10 bill, it's $10 either way. So in terms of value, there's not a change, okay? I'm not speaking to market action, right? The market action, you're going to hear a lot about reverse splits that, in my opinion, were very different. Almost every reverse split that you've ever seen or that your friends have ever seen are on OTC stocks that have really terrible fundamentals and don't maybe have enough capital to clean up their balance sheet. Well, AMC has way improved fundamentals. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We're going to talk about that. But I just really think it's important that you consider, is this really like other reverse splits or not? Let's flip for a minute and look at, in fact, we're leading into kind of what I was just talking about. What is happening in our business? This is a view I've given you in a couple of the forecast type of videos. This is the domestic box office week by week this year compared to last year. So anytime you're above zero, the zero line is where we were last year. What that means is we would have sold the exact same amount of tickets in the US and Canada as last year if we were down on the zero. We'd just be keeping pace with last year. So anything above that is that much that we're ahead of last year. Think of this like a racer who's racing ahead of last year. And you can see this is the Barbie. This is the Barbenheimer impact. Plus, let's be honest, the Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, Sound of Freedom, lots of other big movies have been in here. And so you can see we kind of rounded last quarter. We were up near 800 million, dipped for a little bit because of the timing of like last year. I think at the very end of June we had Minions, and if you remember how huge that was. Anyway, we're now ahead of last year by almost $1.25 billion. Okay, just the domestic box office. That's not even looking at the global box office. There's that many more sales, and then if you think about AMC's market share of that, and then the concessions that AMC sells, the other revenue AMC gets from having more attendance. This is the industry that Shorty is shorting. This is the direction it's going, and we're not even done yet because we aren't even caught up to pre-COVID yet. Look at this. So that is, you got to remember, how is AMC doing? This is it. This is the improvement that's been happening year over year. So some final thoughts and opinions, or on the bottom line. AMC had a profitable Q2. You know that already. And I am thinking it looks like we're likely profits on Q3. I'm not ready to full on call that, but that would be my forecast right now. If you were asking me, I've got us in profits also in Q3. AMC has access to all the capital it could ever need. Those 25 million shares it's selling are a small percentage of the total they could sell. There is no way AMC is going bankrupt, ever really. Certainly not in our lifetimes. So now Shorty's having to deal with that. Well, we're looking at kind of all-time high in shorts on AMC. APE has crept up very fast. Cost to borrow is very high. There's other things like opportunity cost. Shorty's just stuck in a play that they want to get out of. Movies are not done ramping up. I just showed you that up and to the right kind of curve. This is not your normal reverse split, guys. This is a company with improved fundamentals that is not an OTC stock, that has a clear business model, a clear ability to forecast the future, has been starting to deliver profits, and looks like it's turning into a growth company. The growth of the movies, the growth of popcorn, and the growth of candy all coming, and whatever other investments made, and whatever discounts we get on the debt, all of those are looking really spicy to me. So, doing well. I'm feeling great personally. AMC is stronger than it's ever been since the apes have been around. Let's go.